When the fate of our fears are in our own hands, the tension it creates may be the greatest cause of game overs. Happy Halloween and welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 horror games.
I'm sorry, Ripley.
For this list, we'll be looking at what is generally considered to be the greatest and most influential horror games of all time, and ranking them based on their legacy. For the sake of variety, we'll only be including one game per franchise. But if you like what you see, be sure to head on over to MojoPlays, where Jess and Rebecca are playing each of the titles.
You have to look around more.
Sorry,
now.
I'm getting Me Too vibes.
Damn, your scream scared me more than that, dude.
Number 10, Dead Space.
Jesus! Open fire! Open fire! Gender! Power! Gender! Come on!
In the cold confines of an abandoned space station, the dead have become something far more terrifying. You play as Isaac Clarke as he struggles against the necromorphs, a grotesque and nightmarish form of reanimated corpses. The most original aspect of the game was its strategic dismemberment, which involved severing limbs in order to kill the monsters. It also featured an impressive atmosphere and more than its fair share of jump scares. Successfully touting on all major aspects of horror, you've got disgusting monsters, jump scares, atmosphere, and enough blood to make the edgiest people squeamish. Have fun. Number 9, Fatal Frame, also known as Project Zero. Who knew that a game focused on pointing a camera could be so damn terrifying? The game sees you controlling Mika Hinasaki as she searches an abandoned, haunted mansion for her lost brother. The game plays like classic Resident Evil titles as you navigate an intricate mansion through fixed camera perspectives, solve puzzles, and find cassettes and documents that help expand and develop the story. Along the way, you'll have to capture malicious ghosts on your camera, and it is here where the majority of scares originate. The game also builds an unbelievable amount of tension, and the dark mansion serves as a fantastic setting. Maybe you don't believe in ghosts, but they'll scare the pants off you all the same. Number 8, Until Dawn.
If we ever make it.
I have a feeling luck's on our side.
Play your cards right and maybe you will get lucky.
The interactive narrative genre has become a popular mainstay in video games this last decade, so it was only a matter of time before someone gave the genre the horror treatment. The story concerns a small group of young adults who must survive against a masked killer and the deadly Wendigos on an isolated mountain. Along the way, you are forced to make split-second decisions, all of which have unforeseen and permanent consequences. Don't let the fact that it's based off cheesy 80s slasher and monster movies fool you. The game has a way of pushing your nerves to its limits, and if you thought making choices in a video game would be scary, you'd be dead wrong. Number 7, Alien Isolation. Based on what is easily one of the greatest sci-fi horror films of all time, Creative Assembly assembled what is easily the scariest and most faithful Alien video game adaptation around. As Ellen Ripley's daughter Amanda, you navigate the massive Sevastopol station and hide from the persistent xenomorph. But this thing isn't some measly video game cannon fodder. You are forced to run from it, to hide from it, to outwit it, unless you want a slimy spear tail sticking out of your chest. Hiding in lockers doesn't exactly sound like a lot of fun, but when the alien is right outside and breathing through the slits, your heart will be beating like it's never beat before. Number 6, Amnesia: The Dark Descent. A landmark title in horror video games, this one would inspire the run and hide mechanic that would inspire many other titles on this list. It also proved that you don't need a big budget to create tense horror games, and it ushered in an era of indie horror. The darkness may be an ideal hiding place for the terrors that lurk within the castle, but do not linger there too long, lest you prefer to lose your mind. The brilliant blend of the psychological with the visceral creates a unique story and atmosphere that is yet to be matched in gaming. Never before has such a small game done so much in terms of scares and influence on the horror gaming industry. Number 5. Outlast.
I'll give you very special attention.
One of the games that owes its success to our previous entry, Outlast forces you to run from the various depraved psychos prowling the dark holes of Mount Massive Asylum. It also borrows from movies like REC and the Blair Witch Project, as you must use your camera to both uncover notes and see in pitch black darkness. Outlast employs various different elements of horror to unsettle the player, including psychotic characters, gore, jump scares, the thrill of the chase, the tension of hiding, and our instrumental fear of the dark. If this game somehow didn't leave an impression on you, the screams of the other inmates will linger in your mind. Number 4. System Shock 2. Space and isolation go hand in hand when it comes to horror games, as we've seen before. System Shock was well ahead of its time and touted many spiritual successes such as Bioshock and Prey. On paper, the game may not look like your typical horror title, thanks to its focus on first-person action with RPG elements, but looks can be deceiving. The unsettling murmurs brought on by the hybrid humans who once roamed this station are one thing, but the horrifying presence and warped voice of the maniacal AI Shodan will stay in the back of your mind long after you've walked away from the computer.
To gain access to the ship's computer, you will help me weaken Xerxes.
Number 3. The Resident Evil 2 Remake. The PS1 Resident Evil titles may be a landmark in the survival horror genre. Resident Evil 4 may have redefined third-person shooters, and Resident Evil 7 set a benchmark for how to do horror games in the 8th console generation. But the 2019 remake of Resident Evil 2 brings the best of all those titles, and then some. Fear comes in all forms here, not just from the zombies that lurk the overrun police station. Ammo is limited, and missing a shot can prove to be a fatal mistake. Hallways are dark and can hide gruesome monstrosities, and the towering Mr. X will keep you on edge as his thunderous footsteps reverberate the hallways. If you played the original and think you are prepared for this, think again.
Get in!
Number 2. Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem.
Fear not, for I will keep the darkness away.
Unabashedly citing its philosophy on horror from the great Edgar Allan Poe, and frequently reminding you that the darkness is coming, reminds you that theoretically, fear doesn't just manifest from the monster that lingers outside your bedroom window, but from the unease of self-doubt in what you just saw. This theory is realized in the game's sanity effects, where if the player's sanity meter runs too low, various psychological effects will begin to plague your game. This may include footsteps manifesting from nowhere, or unexpected sudden deaths. But most memorable were the fourth wall breaking moments, like random muting, fake deleting of save files, and simulated technical malfunctions.
This isn't really happening!
It tormented the player's psyche, never knowing what was real and what wasn't. Number 1. You left the back door unlocked. Surprise!
This can't be happening!
Do you see what I mean? Well, while you get settled back down, let's take a look at some honorable mentions. Then we'll get back right into it. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Silent Hill 2. Even after nearly 2 decades, Silent Hill 2 remains the king of horror games. It's just perfect. Unlike a lot of other Silent Hill titles, 2 takes a relatively straightforward approach to its storytelling, as you are tasked with finding your presumably dead wife. Of course, it's not as easy as that, as the game takes you down the rabbit hole of nightmares, filled with harsh emotion, symbolism, and some of the most disturbing monsters in gaming history. It's also a very psychological game, as it preys on our instinctual fears of death, despair, and complete physical and mental isolation. It's the darkest and scariest video game ever made, and it may never be topped. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.